I was always so fascinated by character design, but I could never make any good designs like the artists that I liked and admired. It was only when I started studying their character design approach and process that I learned how a beginner can start designing like the pros. To put it into practice, let's take a few Pokémons and redesign them as humans, and I can show you exactly what I learned. I initially thought character design is just about picking the right colors and picking the one thing that makes the character unique. For example, Cloud is more black and gray and has his famous sword. And Super Mario is red and blue and wears the overalls and has his famous mustache. If we look at Umbreon, I just thought we just need to look at the colors. We have this gray, and then we have the red or the gold. The eyes are a bit red, and that's about it. And then I just have to think about designing circular motions or circular shapes like this into the character. So I started doing this. I started trying to create a character or a human character based on Umbreon using this concept, using the idea of just the colors and the circular golden shapes. I started with the pose. I thought the pose is important, so I started drawing the pose and just started adding different designs to it. As you can see, I tried multiple ways, and some of it are better than the other ones. As you can see, one of them that I was trying to do was also really similar to, or I was trying to do a similar idea to Expedition 33 design, so you can see that one here. But at the end of the day, when we look at all three designs here that I tried to do, although they're very different, none of them really stands out. None of them is really exciting. So why is that? I really picked the idea of Umbreon. I used the colors, I used the circular ring shapes, golden shapes, but it's still, the design is very boring. So I started thinking about and studying more about what do other people think we need to do when we do character design. And that's when I moved on to my second attempt. I realized that I've heard that when doing character design, it's good to write a little, description of what the character would be, what are the characteristics of it, and things like that, in addition to the previous one. So if we look at this one, the colors, we can see we have this color here, a little bit darker brown, and we have the green. So these are the three main colors making the design of Leafeon. And also Leafeon obviously is a grass type, so we can see the shape design looks a lot like grass in a lot of the areas. We can see here, for example, the ears, the tail, even parts here, they have that green leafy shape that gives the idea or the shape that character is a grass type and is part of the design. So in addition to that, I started thinking about a background story for my character. So this time I started writing something up for my character. I thought maybe my character can be an elf in this case. Maybe she can be an elf princess or royalty, and she is part of the woods. And I thought I can start designing based on those things. Very short description, and then started designing. As you can see, I did this, and again, the design maybe is a little bit better, but nothing interesting, nothing exciting. And I don't know why. It looks similar. It hasn't really improved much compared to the previous design as well. So I decided to give it another shot with the same concept. So for this one, I decided maybe I can try and do Blastoise. So Blastoise, for this one, I decided to dig a little bit deeper in the design. So colors, again, we have the dark brown, we have the light brown, we have the blue, and then we have a little bit of the white. So those are the colors. And then the other thing that I thought is, let's look at Blastoise and what is the main characteristics of Blastoise himself, and then try and incorporate that into the character that I want to design. So Blastoise, we can see that he has these big cannons. So that's very important, I think, in the design. There's the shell, and then we can see that maybe he's big. He's maybe a protector. So I thought I can try and incorporate some of these characteristics into the design of the human that I want to do. So I thought maybe my character or my human is a soldier that is a protector, has these guns. I can incorporate the same principles into my characters. So I started designing, thinking about it, not thinking about the pose. The pose, I think I was too focused on it at the beginning, but the pose sometimes can come in the way. So I started just doing a rough sketch and rough painting, just adding basic shapes to it. And then did another revision on it and added a bit more detail. And I could have even increased that and added even more detail, but I decided to stop because, again, the design is not that exciting. So why? What has happened? What is the one thing that is missing? It seems like there is one important thing that I'm missing out on. And this is when I start to think about the concept of silhouette in general. What does it mean? So the idea is that regardless of the color, regardless of anything that is detailed in the shapes or in the design, if we just turn the whole thing into a solid color, let's say black here, the silhouette and the design is still recognizable. We can look at this and we can know exactly that this is Charizard. We can do the same thing with the other designs that we have, the other characters that we have, and we can see that they're always recognizable. So for this last design, I decided to really focus on everything that I've learned so far. So the first thing I decided to do is look at the colors and also think about how much of each color there is. Not just thinking about just randomly what are the colors that are used, but how much of each color is used. Then we went to the next step to think about what is the main characteristics of this character that I wanted to design. So I thought maybe this character can be, obviously fire is one of the main characteristics of Charizard. So the colors. And then I thought, Charizard is very confident, very arrogant. So I thought maybe my character can be some sort of rock star that is based on Charizard. So that is what I'm going to do. Then started working on the silhouette. I don't have experience just designing straight shapes and silhouettes like that. But I give it a shot. I tried to do a couple of different variations and to see what I can come up with. This was a little bit of a challenge, again, because it really needs experience and practice to get better at this exercise. And then the one thing that I kept thinking as I'm doing the silhouette is that I need to have it recognizable. Not necessarily that, someone looks at it and knows that it's Charizard, but in a way that the silhouette should be unique and has something interesting in it. Can't be just a simple standing pose or standing thing with nothing interesting in it. So I thought maybe for the wings that Charizard has, maybe my character has their collar can be, angular and coming out and gives a specific shape. I thought maybe the guitar can be a big part of the character design in the back of the character. So that creates a little bit to the silhouette and adds to the silhouette. And I thought after a couple of attempts to figuring that out that maybe I came up with a decent idea. So then I decided to try and refine it, add a little bit more details using Sketch other than just the silhouette idea. And then from there, I started adding the colors into it. Again, you can see everything was rough. I didn't really care too much about adding details. And then when I went into the next step, when I was happy a little bit with the design, I started thinking about creating a better pose, creating a better, line art, and starting adding colors a little bit more in detail. Created a little bit of the face and added some details to the face, because I think although sometimes we think about character design as maybe costume design, I think the face is also very important, and we need to really make a big distinction between character design and costume design. And the face is a big part of the character. So these were really some of the important things that I learned as I was trying to practice character design. And I'm really hoping that I can practice this more and more and advance my skills of character design. This is something that I don't have too much experience with, but these main points I think are the most important one. And for me, trying to practice silhouette design and silhouette and shape design would be the thing that I need to focus on. And as I learn to do good silhouette designs, I will be able to create better and better characters.